Hey guys, welcome back to another episode in this Build It Yourself Web 3 game series. Now, in the previous episode, which was quite a biggie, we learned how to deploy a token contract and we learned how to actually fetch token data like token balance and the token name, per contract. Now, how this ties into the game, when we actually play this game now, we've got this sort of token address and a token system set up, but we still have no way to reward our player. So I know OBS is a bit laggy when I play. I'm sorry, I don't know why it does that, but I'll just play this game through. We'll just get our points. Let's just go through this. The ball goes down. Nice. And cool, you'll see we have a score to the top left there. We've got a score and a timer. So we want to reward the player based on the score and the time they get. So for instance, a 2-star would be worth a lot more than, say, a 1-star would naturally. And you'll see here that the score and the time will then give us rewards. It's going to give us rewards. So we want to make sure that this score here can be converted into our native currency and then rewarded to the player as on-chain tokens. Now you'll see Marble, because again, like in the previous episode, it's using that contract address to reward the player. It's using my contract address to pull that information in. So if I go into the contract manager again here and I just swap that back to the Bulls contract that we had going for us. Let's give it a second. If I stop it and I play it again, let's give it a moment. Cool, I'm gonna go start, and again I'm just gonna play this. It's actually pretty slow. I should have made this thing way faster, but it's okay. That is what it is. Alright, cool. Nice, new high score. Nice, you'll see we get rewarded. You'll see we get rewarded in balls now. No longer is it Marble, but it is instead balls, because we're using that contract for its data. Perfect. Now, there's still no way for us to convert this into actual points. When I hit the play button here again, you'll see that when I go to the token balance screen, if I click on the settings here, the reward screen in itself, it requires a script. There's nothing here. There's nothing to really calculate what is unclaimed rewards and what not. Now this is an off-chain logic thing more than an on-chain validation. We need to create the off-chain logic here that will allow us to convert it to on-chain validation. So let's go ahead. We can stop this entirely. We can, well, first things first, let's make sure that the player can actually earn rewards. So if we go to the blockchain scripts folder again, there's a folder there called reward pool. We'll use the reward pool folder, and there's a script here called get unclaimed tokens. Now again, similar thing, you can create a separate game object for it, or you can just add it to the event system. I'm just going to add it to the event system because to me that's like the most basic way of doing it. Boom, shebang. The only thing that's required for this one here is the text object that's going to show us how many unclaimed tokens we have. In this case, it's literally just called the unclaimed token balance. So let me just quickly do the old shebang again, and I'll just show you guys. Come on, there we go. So the actual component in itself is just called the unclaimed balance text mesh pro game object, and this can also be found under the menu canvas, the settings canvas, and then once you open up a panel, it's going to be under the unclaimed token balance, in which case it's just the unclaimed balance object right here, which says requires script. Nice. So once we've added this in here and we've specified that, when we play this now, I believe it should be, because it's a player preference, it should update. Yeah, 320 balls. That's how much we've earned so far. So let's go ahead, we'll play this game one more time. I've actually played a few times now just to accumulate some points. You should see we've got about 1,030 balls. So every time we play, our rewards accumulate. However, we can't claim that. There's no function that will allow us to convert this into on-chain balls. It's just off-chain balls at the moment. So let's go ahead and stop this. We can go right back into our the NFT Pixels tutorial folder. We can go into Solidity here under contracts, and this brings us to the reward pool contract. Again, double click that bad boy. It's going to open up in your editor of choice. Okay, after that's open, we can copy and paste the entire contract, which isn't that big. And we can go back to Solidity here, same thing as before, new file, Aquamine, ballrewards.solidity. It's going to yell at us because we need to actually specify a path to our previous token contract. So you'll see balls.sol is right here. So I can go balls.solidity, and we also have to give us a contract name. So ball rewards, that's the contract name for this reward pool. And we need to actually reference the other contract as well, our token contract. In this case, what you name your contract address, your contract name here is what's going to be used in here. So if I replace that with this, it should be fine with it. In which case, we quite literally just have a look. We're importing the token. So we're saying in this contract, hey, we want to import that token contract, and we want to be able to make calls from this contract directly to that contract. So you'll see here that this one very small function can be used to actually call the token transfer function found in here. So if we look at something like this function here, we'll be calling this one from within the rewards contract in itself. Now, I would recommend that if this is production, you do add other methods of verification and security, but because this is a tutorial, security isn't too big a concern. It's really just education. So we've got a function here that we've created. It's called claim rewards, and it's going to be calling the token transfer function of that balls.solidity contract there, so that we can get tokens from the contract and send it to players when they want to claim tokens. Now you can add a bunch of requires in here. You can even add a require for the like what's it, amount, the amount to be like less than 1,000, you know, and if it's not, then you can say withdrawal limit exceeded. So you can add requires in here, but we won't get into that. We'll leave it quite basic so that everyone can understand it and learn from it. But the next step naturally is to actually deploy this. So when we deploy the ball rewards, it is super important that we deploy it on our token addresses contract. So you'll see that we can deploy, but we don't want to just deploy it as a separate contract. We want to deploy it as, I actually don't know what it is called, so apologies for that. I'm not too clued up on it, but we'll be deploying it as a subcontract for that contract. But anyway, we'll deploy that, and we can just wait for that to finish. We'll confirm that. All right, perfect. We'll give it a moment, and then hopefully within a second or so, we should see this appear in our deployed contracts. We'll just give it a moment. Sure enough, there is the ball rewards. Now, this is our claim rewards function, which is the one you're seeing right here. And we'll be using this in Unity by saying which wallet should be getting the rewards and how much. How many balls is our player claiming to go to their on-chain wallet? Now, another great lesson here is that with a reward pool, the pool needs coins. If a pool does not have coins, nothing's going to happen. So if I go wallet and I go amount, this is going to revert because we don't have enough tokens in the pool. So what we need to do is we need to take this address, super important, copy this reward pool address, go to your token contract, and you're going to have to send some of your tokens to this contract. In my case, I'll send 50,000 balls to this contract. So if I go, okay, I apologize, I forgot that Remix is like that. You have to add all the zeros. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've added 18 zeros, so now it should be 50,000. At least I would hope so. No, my math is shit. But okay, it's 5,000. Good enough. That's good enough. We only need a little bit anyway, so that's fine. So perfect. Now that we know our actual contract address here, similar thing to before, I'm actually going to go, I'll use this contract address. We'll use the ball rewards contract address, go back to Unity. If you want to use your own custom contract, just update your reward contract down here, update this to be the new contract address. Bam, cool. Because now you've got an updated token address and an updated ball address. Now again, you don't have to do this. You can use the Marble contract, the Marble NFTs, and the Marble reward pool, and it will still work just fine. I'm just going the extra mile here showing you guys how to create your own contract if you did want to use this as a template to build your own thing. Cool, so we've got that sorted, and we don't need this contract for anything else. We just need it for that one function. because now back in Unity, we can actually go to the event system again, back to our scripts, back to the blockchain scripts, and under the reward pool, there's another function. It's called claim rewards. Now, this is where stuff gets a little bit more complex, because up to this point, we've been reading information. Reading meaning these little blue functions. If you look at these little blue methods, these are all read methods. They don't require a transaction. As soon as you go to write methods or set methods, you need to actually write a value to the blockchain, which requires a transaction, which includes gas and stuff like that. So if we go back to Unity here and we drag that in here, luckily it's a script that doesn't require any kind of game objects to be attached to it. It's just a script. It only carries function. So let's open this and let's go through it. Now in this script itself, oh, why is it not opening? There you go. In the script itself, there's a lot of comments in here. It is a little bit overwhelming, but I hope that if you guys just read this, the comments will kind of explain everything that you need to know. Similar to before, we've got one singular function in here called claim. So this claim function is what's going to be pretty much everything that we need in order to claim that balance, that unclaimed rewards, to claim it and then add it to our token balance. Sorry, van driver arrived, but let's just go back into this. We'll be claiming those tokens, and then we'll be adding it to our on-chain balance, in which case we actually call the update balance function. So remember, with a token balance, we created this function to be a function on its own so that we can call it again later on in other scripts, in which case we call it right here. So whenever the player claims their tokens, we'll update the balance so that the balance is refreshed and the newly added tokens will reflect as well. So, okay, let's go through this. So the claim function is a read function. All these bits here, this is just for the transaction window, or the transaction status. It's not essential to the write method. Only the things really below it is relevant. So you'll see that with a write method compared to a read, we have to specify a chain ID, in which case, in this case, sorry, it's 80,001 for the Mumbai testnet. The method we're calling is claim rewards, which, to no surprise, is that method right here, which, similar to the balance of, requires two arguments, the wallet and the amount. And you'll see that's actually in here as well. It's been commented for you guys saying the method requires two of the following arguments. Who needs to get it? How many do they get? And you'll see that here. There's a 2 and there's an amount. The 2 is the player account. We want to send this to the connected wallet at that time. So whoever's playing in that current session, if they request to get those tokens, they'll be getting it. How much are they getting? Well, great question. This is where the reward total player prefs get in. So in the score system, we pretty much take the amount of score they get and add it to a player prefs called reward total. So when we claim, we have to make sure that the reward they're claiming is only the amount that's in their unclaimed rewards. In this case, it's just a player preference for the reward total to string, because all these methods require strings, and then our decimals, so 18 decimals as 0. Otherwise, if we don't add this in, it's going to be like 0 point and then like 18 zeros and then the value. We don't want that. And then same as before, we create our contract data, and then the method is a little bit different. It's not a contract data.read or contract.call, sorry. It is a call data instead. Call data is for writes and call is for reads. And because there are arguments here, the 2 being the wallet address right here, and then we have to pass the amount that we're sending, because remember, even in the get for the token balance, we need a big integer, because the amount we're working with is so large, it's too big for your standard integer. We need to use a big integer. So we have big integer.pass, and then this is optional. You do need to pass it, but what I mean of optional is that you can leave it blank. If you leave it blank, MetaMask will calculate that for you, which is ideally what you're after. Some people prefer to get this manually and add this manually, but just know if you set that manually and your gas costs more than your limit, your transaction will fail. So it's kind of best to just leave it as blank. And then the value is the on-chain native currency. So if I'm building on like Ethereum, the native value would be Ethereum. If I'm on the Binance Smart Chain, then BNB would be my native value. But because this is not a payable function, we're not dealing with that native currency, we just leave this as a 0. And then we're basically telling the program, hey, we want to try to send this transaction and catch any potential issues with it. So we send a transaction, which is this method here. Again, this here is just optional. It's just for the transaction status window, which makes it look tidy. We reset our score, make sure that after we've claimed our tokens and it's a success, we reset it so people can't re-enter and keep getting tokens. And then shortly after, we update our balance. We basically give this transaction some time to clear on the blockchain, and then we update our balance, and it should update the tokens. And then yeah, pretty much just like real Mickey Mouse methods here to actually close a transaction window. And if a transaction fails, it's gonna just say, hey, transaction has failed on the GUI, and then go away. A transaction really only fails if there's not enough currency, not enough value, if it doesn't meet the require, or if a user cancels a transaction. So if I go back into Unity and we go back into here, and then yeah, last but not least, we update the balance. So the flow is pretty straightforward. The flow really is the player gets score, the score is an unclaimed balance, and then we claim the unclaimed balance to go into on the chain as balance in itself. So it's a 3-step system. Let's actually see what this looks like when we use it, right? Because all we had to do was drag and drop this and it just works. So if I go, I'll play it. And again, I apologize for the lag, but let's have a look. All right, so let's go here. Let's go claim. We should see the window pop open for us here. Cool, it's gonna pop up with a transaction to claim our rewards. Cool, we're gonna confirm that. We're gonna copy, we're gonna go back here, and we should see in just a few seconds. There we go, look at that. Our balls balance just updated. We claimed our off-chain tokens or rewards as on-chain tokens. Effectively, what you've created here is you've created a reward pool for players to use, I guess, as a bit of a treasure chest. When they have a score, they get a high score. You know, depending on what game you're building, you can use this function, this claim rewards function, to take coins from that reward pool and give it to players. Also, by having a reward pool contract, you're not dealing with a token contract directly, which is also a little bit more secure, I suppose. Plus, you don't have to pay gas when people, you know, claim their rewards and whatnot. So if you've come this far, not only have you got a Connect Wallet, a token, a fully functional token, but now a reward pool as well. Moving forward, we'll be delving into transaction statuses. We'll be looking at minting actual skins for our ball so that we have something to play around with, and just seeing how we can polish this up to make it look a little bit better in terms of Web3. But again, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. I know it's quite lengthy and it's a lot of stuff to take in. But if you've got any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments, and I'll see how I can help. I'll see you guys in the next episode.